All right, good afternoon, everybody. John Ward, Director of Emergency Management here in Clay County. I want to thank everybody's time and all our partners behind me. We have been obviously monitoring Hurricane Ian for the past week and a half, and we've been really pushing out messaging for our citizens to be prepared here in the county. Now that we're starting to see this track get more refined, we're starting to be able to identify what impacts are going to be for our community. So we want to go ahead and brief that out and talk about some of the protective actions that we're going to be doing here in the community. Real quick storm update. We saw the storm take a little bit of an easterly shift overnight. Right now, what I want to encourage our citizens here in the county is don't get too focused on the exact track. This storm is going to encompass the majority of the state of Florida, and our impacts are pretty much coming refined as to what we're going to be getting. Right now, what we're looking at potentially is we're going to see rainfall start Wednesday morning, potentially with some banding coming through that'll give us some tropical storm force gusts occasionally. Our significant impacts are going to start late Wednesday night, early Thursday morning, probably about the 1 or 2 o'clock time frame. We're going to see sustained tropical storm force winds within our county. Those sustained tropical storm force winds could potentially last through Friday morning. That being said, that's going to give us 24 hours of sustained tropical storm force winds. And when I say sustained tropical storm force winds, I don't mean 58 mile an hour for 24 hours straight. There's going to be constant banding of this wind coming through. And I want to really get our citizens' attention to say Clay County, inland Clay County has never seen sustained tropical storm force winds. We've seen gusts of both hurricane force and tropical storm force in Irma, Matthew, Debbie, the whole laundry list of storms that we've had. We have never seen multiple hours of sustained tropical storm force winds. So I really want our residents to take these last few hours we have, look around your house, pick up any of the loose items, and really get that prepared. We are going to see, and I'll defer to Mr. Davis here in a little bit, we're going to see significant power outages. If this holds to fruition, we're going to see significant power outages. We're going to see a lot of trees down. We're going to see a lot of trees down on homes, in roads, and potentially even in some of our older home stock, modular homes, mobile homes, we could see a lot of structural damage with that consistent 24 hours of tropical storm force winds. The other thing we're going to see is starting tomorrow afternoon, like I said, we're going to see a little bit of rainfall begin. As the storm gets closer to us, we're looking at potentially 15 plus inches of rain until this storm passes on Friday morning. A little bit of shift east or west could change that by a couple inches. That being said, we're going to have a lot of urban flooding. If your road floods, if you flood in an afternoon thunderstorm, that is going to be compounded by this tropical system coming through. The other thing we're monitoring also is with 15 plus inches of rain that potentially brings both Black Creek North Prong and Black Creek South Prong into play with this potential going to moderate. There's some models that show it going into major flooding. I do not believe currently at this point we're going to see the catastrophic flooding that we saw, the 6-foot water at 218 and 21, but we're going to see significant homes flooded. We're not going to see the levels we saw in Irma, but this is going to be a significant home flooding event potentially for a Black Creek North Prong and South Prong. Today we started sandbag operations. Those sandbag operations are going from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. both today and on Wednesday. Those locations are Omega Park, Fleming Island Soccer Complex, Orange Park Athletic Association, Keystone Heights. You pick up your bags at the City Hall, and then you go to the cemetery, and then also the old fire station in Green Cove Springs. So that is 5 locations that we're doing here in Clay County. We've saw a lot of turnout so far, but we've still been able to support them coming through. So that'll be today and tomorrow at those 5 locations from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. Now I want to talk about evacuations, and this is the part that I always hate talking about. Because of what could potentially be a storm surge on the river, we are already at astronomical tide. For those that live along the river, they understand that. So we're about 1.5 feet higher than what the river normally runs. So add about 2 to 4 feet to that in this storm surge. So we're going to see those impacts along the river, Doctors Lake. We're going to see impacts up the main body of Black Creek with that storm surge. And then we're also potentially going to see the flooding in North Prong and South Prong. So that being said, beginning at 12 p.m. on Wednesday, we are issuing evacuation orders for the following zones. Zone A. Zone A is our immediate properties and interests along the St. Johns River and Doctors Lake. Zone B are those generally within just a couple blocks of the river, Doctors Lake, those type areas. That is Zone B. Zone C is the main body of the Black Creek. And then we're also issuing evacuation orders for North Prong and South Prong. Again, these orders will take effect tomorrow at 12 p.m. noon. If you have any questions, please go to alert.claycountygov.com, click the evacuation helper, and you can plug in your address and it'll tell you if you're in an evacuation zone or not. And you can always call our call center, 877-252-9362. We have our call center up and going, and they can assist you in identifying those respective areas. Now let's talk about government closures. And I'll defer to Mr. Broski here in a bit. Obviously, schools, they announced a school closure. Clerk, branches, and the courthouse, clerk of the court, branches, and courthouse are closed Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. All other Clay County government and constitutional offices will close at Wednesday at 12 p.m. This will give you kind of that last minute to get things taken care of. The offices will close at 12 p.m. to allow our employees to either adjust their work to come in and help us respond to the storm, or to go home and take care of their families and get ready to ride out the storm. And then the offices will be closed Thursday, Friday, and then depending on reopening will be dependent on what type of damage we receive, what type of electrical infrastructure damage we have, and also the flooding in that aspect. So I want to remind folks, take this storm seriously. It's going to be a flooding event, it's going to be a rain event, and we're going to be looking at extended winds that this area has not seen before. So please take this time to pick up the loose items and then get into a safe structure. If you need to evacuate, remember we don't have to evacuate hundreds of miles, tens of miles. Relocate to a family member, friend, whatever it may be, just outside of the impact area. Alert.claycountygov.com is the website you can go to for all your preparedness information, your evacuation assistance, those type things. And then again, our phone number is 877-252-9362 for any assistance from our call center. I'm now going to turn it over to Superintendent David Broski to speak on protective actions from the schools.
Good afternoon. Clay County District Schools will be closed from Wednesday, September 28th through Friday, September 30th. Please know that 5 of our schools act as shelters to help our citizens out, both citizens with special needs at Lake Asbury Junior High, as well as our general population shelter. Please know that the decision to close schools is not one that is taken lightly. There's many factors that are considered when making such a decision. Ultimately, the biggest factor is the safety of our students, of our community, and of being a good partner with all of the folks that you see behind us. Clay County truly is an amazing place to live. It's an amazing place to work. It's an amazing place for kids to go to school. And it's moments like this that I could not be more proud of our community. Currently, our operations team has gone out and assessed all of our school properties. We have the largest number of buildings in Clay County. We've assessed them all. We've made sure that they're prepared for gusts of winds and tropical storm force winds. In addition, we have post-assessment teams ready to go out and assess our properties for the opening of school. This will help us determine the overall impact to all school closures and look for more information to come out to all of our constituents on social media, on our website. For more information regarding shelters, of course, tune in to the alert.gov site. Many people asked about extracurricular activities. Extracurricular activities will be conducted as normal today, but all extracurricular activities will be canceled for the remainder of the time until we resume operations. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Since late last week, the Clay County Sheriff's Office has been working hand in hand with Clay County Emergency Management and all of our partners to monitor the storm. Over the last couple of days, we've narrowed down and began putting together staffing and response plans to respond to emergencies in the county. I want everybody to hear me when I say, listen to John Ward. If you're in an evacuation zone, please evacuate. Do not make a bad decision and put yourself in danger, which causes us to have to send first responders out and put them in danger to rescue you. Please heed the warnings and take action now. Starting tomorrow afternoon, you will see additional deputies on the street. We are calling in off-duty personnel to be on the street to respond to emergencies and assist our residents as needed. We are also calling in additional call takers for 911, Safer Watch, that sort of thing, as well as our detention facility. We have over 400 inmates currently in our custody and control, and we'll be calling in additional people to help keep them secure. A couple of points that I want to make that are very important. We are going to be under storm conditions for the better part of 2 days. Many people are going to want to get out and drive around and sightsee. Please do not do that until such time as we can give the all clear on the safety of the roads. You can expect wires to go down. We can expect hot wires across streets and in people's yards. Please do not go out and sightsee. Trees are going to go down. We know that. That's another unsafe situation out there, and if you're sightseeing, you could get yourself or your family injured. If you come across a four-way stop or a location where the street lights are out, treat it as a four-way stop. Again, if you enter an intersection and the traffic lights are malfunctioning, treat it as a four-way stop. Another big thing, two things I want you to write down: 264-6512, 264-6512. That is our non-emergency number. Please do not call 911 if you don't have an emergency. We expect a very high volume of 911 calls over the next few days. If you have a non-emergency call or a non-emergency situation, call 264-6512, or you can download the Safer Watch app today and report your non-emergency call via Safer Watch. Again, I want to encourage everybody to stay at home during storm conditions and the immediate aftermath until we have such time to declare the streets safe. I want to encourage everybody to continue preparing your family, your pets, check on your neighbors, especially the elderly, make sure they have everything that they need. And I assure you that we here at the Clay County Sheriff's Office, Clay County Fire Rescue, and the team standing with us today are here to serve all of you during these next few days, which I think are going to be very difficult for all of us. Thank you.
Ricky Davis, CEO of Clay Electric. I just want to let you know we implemented our emergency operations plan last week. We serve 14 counties, so it's not just Clay. We have a big area to serve. I just want to get out there that when you do go out, you're going to probably be out for an extended period of time. I wish I could tell you how long that was, but there's so many factors that go into that. You know, how many crews we got in your area. There's just a lot of factors. But I can tell you one thing, we're prepared. We're prepared, we've been preparing. We have got crews in as far as Missouri and Texas. We have our own crews. We will, we have them in. Our operation plan brings them in, gets them together, and we all go out together and do the best we can to get your power back on as soon as possible. And I can tell you it's been wet, and from all the storm information you've been hearing, it's going to get wetter. And the thing is these trees, the roots get wet, and if you have a sustained wind like John was talking about of even 40 miles an hour, they'll lean one way, and then when the storm goes through, they lean the other way. These trees come down, limbs come down. They break our power lines down. So that's the biggest problem we have is vegetation. And we have 33 vegetation management crews that'll be out working. And the safety, I can't express enough. We've had customers and members go out after these storms wanting to hurry up and clean up. and they get out there and they forget to look for the power lines and look, see what's down. We've had people walk into the lines that are low hanging. We've had uncovering brush, and up under the brush there may be a power line. And just because that power line's on the ground, don't assume that it's not hot. We've had people shocked, people hurt because they said, oh, this must be dead, it's on the ground. It's not necessarily true. Like I said, we got a lot of crews, we got a lot of them ready, they're setting on ready. So just be careful, and the only thing I can tell you is if you'll go to our website, and that's clayelectric.com, you'll be able to report your outage there. We also have an app, it's called My Clay Electric, and you can go on there, and that app will let you see, well, actually online or the app, you can see our outage map. And on that outage map, a lot of people like that because now you may not be able to get through to Clay Electric. We have a call center, but those lines are backed up. But you can go on our outage map and you can see where the outages are, and you can see maybe in your community. So and you can also report your outage on there, and that's the best way to report an outage is on there. If you report it on clayelectric.com, we will have your outage. But with that, I guess we'll take any questions. Anybody got any questions?
Question for Director Ward or Sheriff Cook. I wanted to ask about the evacuations. Are those mandatory or are they just highly recommended?
So they're highly recommended. When we do evacuations, there's no legal binding for me to make you leave that. Obviously, if a government entity is standing up here encouraging you to evacuate, I would encourage you to evacuate. So.
How does the county expect Black Creek to withstand compared to Irma?
So I don't believe we're going to see the impacts, and again, it's going to be timing dependent. Does the system slow down and stall over us? There's some modeling that shows it stalling over us. There's some modeling showing it potentially shifting a little bit east. I don't believe we're going to see the major, that was the highest flood we've ever seen in both North Prong and South Prong at the 28.5 feet. Don't believe we're going to get to that level, but we are going to be at the high, moderate, low, major flooding. We're going to have a lot of homes that are flooded unless this system changes drastically.
Advice to those people that live in that Black Creek area?
Evacuate. So get out of the area and evacuate.
We've been to several of the Sandbag sites today, and they're going quickly. The sand is going quickly. What's the plan? Is there a plan to refill those sites once they're out of sand? We were at one this morning that was out by 11 a.m.
We are. Our public works folks are constantly working through that. Sand is not the issue. I think we started with about 116,000 sandbags, and that's obviously statewide. You know, you're seeing a big demand on sandbags. So we gave out 70,000 during Irma. So as soon as the sandbags are gone, but dirt's constantly being turned around and delivered to those sites.
Is there any preparation on the part of local hospitals in the event of a swell of patients?
So my ESF aide or my health and medical team in here have been communicating with our hospitals, nursing home facilities, dialysis facilities, those type things, and they work into that plan. But there are plans in place both for a surge during and then obviously post, as I think Sheriff said or Mr. Davis said, when the people get out, start cutting trees, running into power lines, whatever it may be. We generally see a lot of injuries post-impact of folks having to go to the hospital, but they do have a plan in place. So.
One more from me for Superintendent Brodsky. Can you talk a little bit about how the school buildings are going to be utilized as shelters?
Yeah, we have 5 schools that are active shelters. They're listed on the alert.gov site. Lake Asbury Junior High is a special needs shelter. We're in contact with those individuals now. We'll start transporting them there at 8 o'clock tomorrow morning. Our other general population shelters open at 3 o'clock. They include Keystone Heights High School, Orange Park High School, as well as Wilkinson Elementary School and Clay High School. So those 5 schools primarily. I would add that they're manned by Clay County school personnel that run those shelters, and we're proud to serve the community.
When was the last time Clay County had any kind of evacuation, anything like this?
Hurricane Irma, we did issue evacuations. We did not have a lot of folks respond, which is why we had to go in, and I think we rescued 386 people off of rooftops and front porches and stuff like that. But Hurricane Irma in 2017 was the last time we issued an evacuation order. Anything else? I just really want to take this time to thank the partners we have behind me. I've got a room full of folks in my Emergency Operations Center, and this team is what makes Clay County successful when we're responding to events like this. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you all so much. Media partners, thank you all so much.
All right, folks, you're looking at the weather that we're expecting in Clay County, specifically as far as Hurricane Ian is concerned. Again, we think that Ian will no longer be a hurricane as it makes it to about Clay and Putnam County, but still a significant event as mentioned. Overall, by the time it's all said and done, and I think the worst of the weather is going to be from Wednesday through Friday, rainfall totals of 6 to 12 inches. We're looking for the St. Johns to rise about 3.5 feet. Now, of course, the Black Creek is highly dependent on how much rain. If we get more toward the 12 inches, then it's going to be a significant flood, as you just heard. As far as winds, we could see some gusts of 55, and that's why you heard discussions about possibly some trees coming down, at least branches coming down, although the winds for at least the first half of the period will be 20 to 35. Remember, once you get up to about 35, that's approaching what we call gale force. Again, Hurricane Ian, most of the impacts, significant impacts, will be late Wednesday and then improving from south to north from Putnam County through Clay County as we go through Friday. What about elsewhere around the First Coast? Well, for Duval, about 6 to 12 inches. The water level we're talking about here is the combination of the rain and the high tides. So instead of getting into the whole storm surge rainfall, let's just talk about how much is the water going to rise. The St. Johns, the creeks connected to it, the estuaries, that's going to rise about 4 feet. For you folks at the beaches, because you're primarily going to be dealing with the oceanfront storm surge, and it's not going to be as great, at least with the current forecast, I am more concerned about flooding from the intracoastal and the estuaries and then throughout the rest of Duval County. Winds, it's going to be a big deal. There will be some isolated gusts to 65, so we will be concerned about some branches coming down, possibly a few old trees as well. But the steadier winds from Wednesday through Friday will be about 25 to 35. St. John's and Flagler, you're probably going to have the heaviest rains and slightly higher water levels and maybe even some heavier winds, possibly some gusts up to about 70. We'll, of course, keep you updated on Hurricane Ian, whose worst impact will be felt on Florida's southwest coast, but it will impact us significantly here in northeast Florida and southeastern Georgia.
This has been a Hurricane Ian update from the First Coast's most accurate forecast, certified by Weather Rate.